Good evening, Random Mania fans, and welcome to yet another match for our Highways to the Threemus Zone tournament. Tonight's match, we have sylverfyre versus antidale, both who are on 3-2 wins, and both fighting in their last match to get in for standing. Tonight, I have Maggie the Cat commentating with me. How are you doing this evening, Maggie?
Dappus, I'm doing very well. Very hyped for this match that we're about to see here. sylverfyre and antidale both having gone 3-0 in their group in the group round against their group opponents, having direct advanced here into the table round, and now currently at 3-2. This is their last match in the table round. And so they're both definitely looking for a win here. If they are able to go 4-2, they are almost guaranteed, basically guaranteed to move on to the round of 16. If they lose tonight, the one who is going to lose tonight, still a chance that they will move on. But we were talking about this before we went live tonight, and that's kind of sorcery. We would have to kind of look at the rules a little bit to see how that exactly would work as far as like tiebreakers and strength of schedule.
Exactly. Like agility from this game, it's witchcraft. We don't get it, but don't worry, it makes perfect sense. So we also see we have a lovely pink-haired Rydia as a starting character. Not bad overall. A lot of slingshotting has been happening, and that's a perfect target for it. Rydia being like okay, needing a whole lot of experience to get to nuke, which becomes useful. Also has some other utility where if they have to dive through the cave, warp becomes very useful. She's just really great. The most important thing, though, I think, is the objectives we have. The objectives, unfortunately, are not available in our region, according to our restreamer, Zoe Vermillion, and Tiscala Kitty, who is our tracker. One of the two of them have some shenanigans going. I'm here for it. But the real big ones, the ones we actually have, are the Queen of the Town of Monsters. So that's the Asura spot, unlock the sealed cave, and trade away the rat tail. So we're looking at between 3 to 4 key items tonight, and that's a pretty good seed, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we could potentially see no moon at all if the blue planet and the underground gives us everything that we need. We would need to find a pass along with all the items that we need to complete our objectives, but it is a possibility. They would also have to find a way to grind. Now, of course, the unlocking the sealed cave would mean that the Luca key is one of their key items. Maybe we'll see a door grind. I don't think we've seen one. At least I haven't seen one in the table stage yet.
So you may not have seen one, but I have actually done a door grind. It is janky. It only works very effectively if you already have somebody who is RA1, relative agility 1, and is at the level of wall. If that's Rosa or Porum, you're looking at the mid-40s, so you're, slingshotting somebody. Or Tella, as soon as he's done ordeals, he does so much work, and hopefully you're finding a darkness crystal at that point. But I mean, at that point, beggars can't be choosers. We have no sirens, no easy way to steal them, no easy way to find them outside Cole's shop. So this is one of those, like, are we going to find one of those weird grinds that we don't normally see? Or is this going to be like a very typical D-machine manip and go?
Yeah, and it'll definitely be interesting to see what these runners decide to do. Again, looking definitely for the win here. They might be trying some kind of unusual or unorthodox strategies, pushing the envelope a little bit to do whatever they can to go 4-2 to kind of guarantee their spot in the round of 16. And it looks like we are off. Let's see who Rydia's partner and starting key item.
Yes, my favorite thing to see. Vanilla. Oh, and we got some hook going. That's very good. And honestly, I think that's a pink cane too. So we've got the color theme going on too. I'm here for all of this tonight.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. And both runners are taking that cane. We do, of course, have the permajoin flag on. So every time the runners find a character, they are going to be presented with the option of letting that character join. If they accept, that character will be permanently added to their party until they have a full party of 5. If they decline allowing a character to join their party, the character will be sent to the Tower of Wishes in Dissidia, and then they can go pick that character up later on if they want. But once they have a full party of 5, then they can no longer switch out anybody in their party.
That was a really great PV show. So the nice thing is we already have a little bit of divergence. We have sylverfyre going into Baron, which is a fairly unseen check from the beginning. Antidale going and hitting up Watery Pass, one of my favorite places to loot. with T Pro on. Oh, there's a Tella behind a Baigen. That's not a bad spot. If you see something like a J-Eden to get through that fight, that's going to be very quick. If not, that's still a fairly painful spot. Those vampires are going to hit really hard with how magic that is. And a Porum in Watery Pass. We have some good to excellent starting characters depending on how you feel. I like Porum because she dodges more magic than I want to talk about. But we also have the ability of of Tella for ordeals. Also, Antidale finding a Gungnir Spear. That Kane is absolutely online for damage. The nice thing is he gets access to so many weapons, but getting his Gungnir, one of his best endgame weapons, right off the bat, he's going to be putting out a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's not the best weapon for Kane to be going into endgame with, but definitely right at the start of the seed here, that is absolutely what you want to see, is something like that. And that is definitely one of the benefits of having Kane as one of your starting or early characters. He has such a wide array of equipment and weapons that he can use: spears, swords, and axes. So if you can find any kind of decent weapon for him right out the gate, he can start putting out a pretty decent amount of damage right away. So also finds a Wind Spear. Even that is definitely an upgrade to his starting spear and would be sufficient to get through the overworld. But that Gungnir is going to do lots and lots of work for our runners here.
Absolutely. And on sylverfyre's side, we see a little bit of French vanilla there. We have a Porum in Mysidia, in the Palom in the Porum spot. My bad. Well, we have that. And also some lightning arrows for sale, as well as a second cane. And there's a third cane. We have 3 canes already in this seed. Zoe, I know you like your quads, but can we not see 4 canes? Let's see nothing but
I don't know. It's like Zoe was doing this for you, Dathis. Everybody knows that Kane's your boy.
I mean, absolutely. You got my boy. You got one of the better weapons for him. If there's a white spear early on, I'm just going to say, Zoe, look, I know you've missed me, but I really appreciate this. So we have a Mylon of some flavor, though, in the waterfall cave. That's not a bad boss to have out somewhere. The Mylons are okay, and have them in an out-of-way spot that you're not going to need to fight. That's good knowledge for later. Antidale, though, might be doing an early hook route dive to see what that character is.
Yeah, starting out with the hook will give them access to another character. It's also a gated character, so of course Fusoria is out of the pool. It can't be Fusoria, but it could be an edge, and an early edge would definitely be put our runners on top of their game here. In the group stage, Edge was available from the beginning. He was not gated, but in the table flags, Edge is a gated character, so you won't find him in any of the free character spots. You need to have a key item, a character behind a key item. So this could be a vanilla Edge potentially, and that would definitely, along with that Gungnir Spear that we talked about, help them get through the overworld and the first part of the game here.
Absolutely. Edge just gives you so much power. He'd be able to go through that Baigen with a single flame, no problem. Not an Edge, just double Kidia we have going on so far. Again, another good slingshot target if Antidale wants to keep that Kidia around. That is a Lunar Sparkle on the way through the Rubicante spot. So if they have to go underground to that, there are some really nasty bosses that could be blocking. If D-Lunars are there, it's kind of not great. We know it could, if it is Wyvern though, that is a lot of information. Because of the K unsafe flag being on, meaning that the way to underground cannot be gated by Valvalis, Wyvern, or Golbez, meaning that if that is a Wyvern in fact, we can find our underground access in the form of the Magna Key anywhere else. So that can be a lot of information or no information right now.
Yeah, it looks like Antidale is, if he is going to check it, he's saving first, and it looks like he's going to maybe check some chests. It doesn't look like he's going to go all the way to the boss spot and check the bosses there, but he is going to do some chests, open some chests here. These chests are pretty heavily weighted, both because they are behind a key item, being that you need to have the hook to get in here, and because there is a trapped chest in here. There is 2 scalemen in one of the chests in here, and so any area that has trapped chests also has its chests usually have better items, and so we do see him picking out Starveil, Whistle. The Whistle can be sold for quite a bit of money, so that's kind of nice. So this isn't a bad play. If he finds the trapped chest, he did take that save, so he can just reset out and then pick up everything else and avoid the trapped chest once he knows where it is.
Absolutely. Oh, and Sylverfyre actually finding something really nice in Antlion Cave. Asura, if we have no white mages and a dwarf axe, the only way you can get the back row glitch on Kane. So this is a really, really good seed for items that we have going on here. Not only do we have that dwarf axe, but we also have a mute knife. Kane being a proponent of multiple weapons, he has a mage killing weapon. He has back row now. He has so much power. This Kane is pretty much ready to take on the main area. And a dancing dagger for Rydia. There's a whole lot of early damage. But back to the point, what I'm saying is why Asura was really good. If we have no white mages, Asura is a 2 out of 3 chance of giving you a heal and a 1 out of 3 chance of giving you a life lock. We have seen some runners who have rolled that 1 out of 3 very, very often, especially in the Zeromus fight. So while she's not reliable, it is still a great healing option if you have no other choice. And with multiple Rydias doing the healing, it's great. I'm here for this. I'm all about this Antlion Cave right now.
It's your vanilla shining through. We had our vanilla Kane start. Now we've got our vanilla Antlion.
And Zoe, the wonderful person who rolled this seed, saying, "Let's go for some Sand Ruby." I absolutely agree. Oh, and technically, we're also doing vanilla strategies if you really want to get technical. Rydia with the dancing dagger, that's what you do with the vanilla speed run. Utilize that and just have her use that to do some bonus damage here. So, I mean, we got a whole bunch of it going on tonight, depending on how you want to look at things. Antidale taking a look at that shot in Dissidia, though.
Kitty, our tracker tonight, says that she's going to be keeping track not only of our key items and our objectives, but also of how much vanilla we see.
So speaking of objectives, we do have half of our first objective. That is the adamant behind the Antlion. So that could be something very, very good. Or it could be a key item that we're just using to get to the 10 key item mark and we never find the other half. That'll be yet to be seen, but I'm excited for that. Overall, I'm absolutely here for this seed, though. But Antidale found what I like to call the Tellus Special Shop -1. It had Ether ones, it had life potions, so there's basically the grind that you're looking for when you go D-Machine or Mac Giant grinding, which is a really good Mysidian shop. And Antidale also making good use of the Hobbs flag. So Rydia normally learns Fire 1 here, but she instead learns, with this Hob flag, learns a random summon. Bomb probably being, I think, second or third best that you could learn from the early tier spells. That Edward's not coming here. We have the possibility of Sylph being number 1. But yeah, that Edward and seeing Lunar Sparkle, yeah, he gets a chill there. Dark Knight Cecil on reveals, though.
That's an interesting Dark Knight Cecil. Sylverfyre is deciding to pass on that Cecil for now. It is good knowledge. Cecil can just chill there for a while, and if our runners find a good weapon, if they find an early legend sword to go along with that adamant that we know is at the bottom of Antlion Cave, they can forge an Excalibur once they get to the underground, and then that Cecil becomes a little bit more enticing. Right now, of course, Cecil's a Dark Knight. He's pretty lackluster. If they complete Mount Ordeals, it will turn him into a Paladin and give him the ability to use all those fancy holy swords like the Excalibur, Crystal Sword if they happen to find one. But the downside to Cecil is that he will be your agility anchor if you take him into your party, because we do have vanilla agility on in this flag set.
Yeah, so he's a bit of a double-edged sword in that regards. He's great and he's terrible at the same time. Also, our researcher Zoe Vermillion pointing out that Antidale missed out on that Dwarf Axe. That is something very, very big that Antidale could have for back row glitch. So it's good and bad to have. And speaking of some of the Dancing Dagger strats, actually using it on Rydia herself, gonna be keeping her down for that anchor position. That's really smart and just shows exactly how we're gonna have this play out.
Anchoring and also potentially slingshotting, because right now Rydia is level 1. We know that there is a Tella hanging out in Baron Inn, right? Is that the character who we saw in Baron Inn?
Yeah, Tella behind Vigan and another unknown.
Yeah, and so if Antidale is already thinking ahead of doing some kind of a grind in the Giant of Babel, if we find a darkness crystal, having that Rydia at the lowest level possible is going to make it very easy to slingshot her, and she benefits probably the most out of every character slingshotting because she needs so much XP to get her highest level spells.
Yeah, she needs something like the most D machines, 24 D machines at 38k a pop, if I remember correctly. If my math is right, I could be very wrong. 41k a pop, as Zoe Vermilion is letting us know. But yeah, 24 I knew. It's a lot of experience, something nigh on 1,000,000 XP. She is the highest EXP growth in the game. Also, our runner's doing a bit of a high five here. They've done a lot of exploring, splitting up. And they're meeting here in Fabul. They're going to defend it, and we're going to see what the first unknown boss is. Another Lunar Sparkle, though.
Ooh, we've got Ogopogo, the infamous Nope Rope.
So this is kind of not a boss you want to see with Oops All Mages. Your mages are basically going to be running healer duty because Ogopogo counters all magic, even if it's not damage, with an HP percentage blaze spell. Also hits pretty decently after casting Wave a couple of times, and is going to put that Palom down in one smack. Helps out Antidale because he wants to keep that Rydia down, but Kane is still going to take a bit of a beating.
Yeah, I think Backroad Kane here looks like he is only taking 1 point of physical damage from the actual attacks. But Ogopogo's script, of course, is that it will use this big wave, which does 1/4 of your party's maximum HP in damage, and it will alternate. Ogopogo will alternate between using one big wave and then attacking, and then using 2 big waves, which will do half of your party's total hit points in damage. So it can still be pretty dangerous, even if you have lots of defense, lots of good gear, because that big wave ignores all of your evade, all of your defense, any kind of gear that you have, and it does that flat percentage-based damage.
Yeah, and we see Antidale getting through first after entering second, and he's rewarded with a pan, so there is no single dip for Bull tonight. A lot of people enjoy doing that special where you can go see Yang, hit him with the pan, and then come back and do 3 checks at 1. But unfortunately, with the goods being held by the king, not necessary. However, we do see the possibilities of other nice things with more charm arrows and another dancing dagger. Not the worst to see. Charm Arrow is going to be doing some decent work if you go and do, say, the Mad Ogre chest, or you find a really weird alt gauntlet somewhere where you're finding ogres to defeat.
So we'll see what else our runners have in store. We still have the Baron in check. We, of course, have ordeals. Sylverfyre did run halfway up just to check the character, but did not go all the way up to the top to check the bosses. It looks like Antidale is opting to skip Sylvera entirely, which is kind of halfway between the Bool and ordeals. And a lot of times runners will check there's a couple of spots that you can check for items, and then also the item shop itself that you can check there. Skipping Sylvera entirely and going straight for ordeals here. I'm going to say hi to Cecil. Maybe bench him for the moment, but going to run the rest of the way up the mountain here to check on the bosses and hopefully the key item, depending on what these bosses are.
Absolutely. As we said, we've seen a whole bunch of vanilla tonight. I'm excited for this vanilla legend sword up here, and then that's going to make runners go back and grab that Cecil, because even an Excalibur Cecil, as an anchor position, you keep him several levels down, he's still going to do a lot of damage. That Excalibur is a decent stat stick. But this is a boss you are a little less than excited to see here. This is Odin. We have no lightning weakness to exploit. This, not the best spot for him. Him in the second spot, the Around the World Zantetsuken, the best. But he's still going to be putting some damage onto Kane, unless he can time it very, very well. I don't think the Zeus rages are going to do enough damage. But they will. I am stand corrected immediately.
There's that fancy quad damage on the weakness being shown off there.
Yeah, Odin takes a whole lot of damage from lightning. Also, we have a back attack up, Pale Dim. Man, I was really hoping to see Wyvern here, something along those lines. Yeah, Pale Dim, actually a boss you're kind of okay with getting out of early, especially because it is not a official dragon type. It also has weaknesses to a whole lot. Sorry, it has elemental resistances. So getting it out of a place where you don't have any elemental weapons is something you do want to see. So this is not bad. Whereas Sylverfyre is actually finding, I think, the best boss for this part of the inn with these low levels. With the Dark Elf and its Dark Dragon form, not doing any physical attacks, but mostly magic, in a very low magic, high physical spot. Probably a blessing in disguise in this aspect.
Yeah, I got through the first Baigan fight very easily with their current party setup. This Dark Elf, I don't think is going to be long for this world. I think has Dancing Daggers on both Rydia and Palom at this point, so even though it doesn't have too many good spells on the mages, still putting out very reasonable damage with both of the kids and keeping jumping. Gonna get through this fight pretty quickly here, it looks like.
Yeah, and the big thing is Dark Elf is going to be swinging once, I believe, and then he does the Debarth attack, which is a HP percentage attack. But yeah, between the Dancing Daggers and Kane's jumps, takes that fight down very, very quickly. Antidale also gets through Pale Dim very quickly. As we see Mirrored Dragon, that's a Darkness Crystal. There is your grind in one single spot, though. Tella, Darkness, let's go.
So Sylverfyre has basically the world as their oyster at this point, having the hook as a way to get underground, and now the Darkness Crystal as a way to get to the moon and as a way to grind. Let's see what Antidale getting just a life staff. That's going to be real nice if anybody decides to pick up. I think we did see a Porum. Would be even better if we find a Rosa at some point. But of course, this Ordeals is still going to be required to power up that Tella that Sylverfyre just picked up, since Tella starts out with just a small selection of spells, and completing Mount Ordeals will power Tella up and unlock his entire spell list. Most importantly, probably being the weak spell, which can be used against the D-Machines that we've talked about and enable our runners to do that infamous D-Machine grind in the Tower of Giant of Babel.
Absolutely. We have Sylverfyre already raising the big whale. Might go check to see what the character is on the moon. We could have more options of characters we want to take, but as of right now, this looks like it is a very reflect-heavy seed. With a lot of the really mage terrible bosses out of the way. We've got Pale Dim gone, we've got Ogo gone, we've got Valvalis out of the way. This actually is a seed that says, hey, all these mages that we're throwing at you, this is pretty much a perfect round for them. That double Rydia, that Palom, that even the Porum, it's going to be very great. And yeah, and again, as Zoe mentioned, Baigan's out of the way too. CPU being the only, as Zoe's mentioning, the only bad one. But if you play the roulette of the float bounce, either bouncing in CPU or against the attacker node, that kind of brings CPU out of that as well with Tella's utility. There's a whole way around that fight too, which is just there's just a whole lot of like mages being a fantastic option for us tonight, and I'm kind of excited to see how that goes.
So Antidale is following in Sylverfyre's footsteps, going to Baron Inn, wants to pick up this Tella, and now we know this is also going to be a Darkness Crystal for him. Meanwhile, Sylverfyre has raised that big whale and is coming up to the moon. Looks like wants to check out the character and possibly the Hummingway shop up here, and it looks like this is another forum on the lunar dais up here.
Absolutely. Antidale making great use of another J item, the Big Bomb, which casts the Fire 2 spell, gets rid of Baigan all in one shot, keeps Rydia up so she gets some levels, but there's enough levels on everybody else for some slingshots. Gonna be fighting this Dark Elf, and we're gonna get through pretty quickly, I believe, with the, again, Dancing Daggers and the jump ability. Again, low magic spot, not a whole lot of tyranny coming from these tier 2 spells.
And our restreamer Zoe pointing out on Sylverfyre, probably looking for either Rosa or another Black Mage, probably Palom preferably. Did not find either of those, so did go ahead and take that forum, it looks like, and now has a full party coming back down to the blue planet, and looks like is doing some shopping. wants to pick up, it looks like a Lilith Rod here in Mysidia. This is probably going to be very useful for any of the mages, any of the black mages, but especially for Tella for the D-Machine grind, because Tella's stats are so low that he can actually miss with his spells, and during the D-Machine grind, you want him to be casting weak on the D-Machines, and he can actually miss with the weak spell if his stats are not boosted a little bit. So having a nice weapon to boost his stats a little bit will help prevent that from happening.
Indeed, and additionally, him being in the middle spot means that he's going to get bonus accuracy based upon the slots in the party. That him being in the middle means he actually only needs 10 wisdom, I believe it is, to be for willpower. I can never remember which stat is which. I believe it's wisdom to land the weak spell on him, which is really good. It's not a lot, and the Lilith Rod itself adds, I believe, 10, so you're more than gold there. And as Scala pointing out, on Antidale's side, we have a flying pig. I love watching the pig jump around. But Antidale, through that fight, gets his Tella as well, and the Darkness Crystal. Already done ordeals. Interesting to see if he just goes, grabs his party, and then grinds, or if he's going to be exploring more. I almost guarantee he's going to be going back to Mysidia, not only raising that Lunar Whale, picking up his party, but additionally going to the one-stop Tella shop, getting those ethers and life potions.
Yeah, so we'll see what Antidale's plan is now, which characters he decides to pick, if he's going to go with a full mage reflect party, similar to what Sylverfyre has selected, or we do have a number of Canes available as well, if Antidale wants to go more with a hybrid or berserk party. And then we're probably going to see both of our runners in the Giant of Babel pretty soon here doing that D-Machine grind.
Indeed, and we see exactly who Sylverfyre looks like they're wanting to grind up. We have a dead Rydia and we have a dead Porum, meaning they're not going to be getting experience. They're going to stay behind the curve. They just have to stay behind the curve enough of 5 levels, and they should be perfectly fine here. But yeah, Antidale raising the big whale. The big thing is, like you said, who are they going to be grabbing? Are we going to see a divergence? Will we have Kings being slingshot up and go nothing but berserkers? Are we going to see the possibility of, again, just nothing but the twins? It is very interesting because the mages work better with no gear, whereas that's basically what we're working with right now. But you could find, say, more lances and spears or other weapons to make Kane be very viable in these fights. So there's a lot of interesting talks of who would be the best party to go for. I think mages overall, with what we have left to fight, is probably going to be the best, but it's going to be interesting regardless.
Antidale passing by that other Rydia, coming up here, talking first to Porum, wants a white mage. Now coming back down.
Who's grabbing? There it goes.
Yeah, okay, yep. Looks like he just wanted to check maybe who he had available on the second floor. So did go ahead and take a white mage in the Porum that he had available, and then is going to be sticking with the 2 black mages in Rydia that he has.
Absolutely. Also, not currently selling that Asura summon. Wonder if he's going to hold on to that, because that's where a lot of his money's going to have to come through to get these life potions and ethers. Funding this D-Machine grant, we talk about how it's like, oh, this is something you can do, it's just very easy to do. Doing it is not the worst. The hardest part is funding it. Those ethers do not come cheap. They're, I believe, 10,000 or 10,000 per pop, and if you're looking for at least 20 of them, you're spending some money.
Especially this early in the seed.
1,000 per pop.
We're 25 minutes in, so, and how much have they done? They haven't even gone to the underground. Only basically the base checks here on the overworld. So, it's one thing if you get to 45, 50 minutes in, you've maybe done a few of the underground checks, you've gotten some of the loot from Hamra or the Land of the Sun and Monsters. Some of those checks are a little bit heavier weighted, and you might have a little bit better gear you can sell to fund some of those items. But yeah, this far in, you don't really have a lot of loot to be selling to get that money that you need.
Indeed. Now, Maggie, we see Antidale's taking some fights inside of Baron. What's going on? Why is he taking these fights here, and why is he continuing to run around? Why not just go right to the Giant and look for the D-Machine grind we're talking about?
So traditionally, the D-Machine fight, you would do that. You would go up to the Giant of Babel. You would go to the room with the save point, which is the room before you fight the four elemental fiends, and you would. There's a step chart that you can follow to see if you've gotten into the D-Machine fight or which fight following your initial fight you would get into the D-Machine fight. If you don't get it on your first fight, you would run from any battles until you get into the correct battle. With the flag set that we are using for Highway to the Threemus zone, we have the can't run flag enabled. So our runners cannot use the traditional method to get into the correct fight by going up to the D-Machine and running from all the fights until they get to the right fight. So they are doing what we see Antidale just did, taking very easy fights outside Baron Inn to get to the correct fight. There is a modified step chart that is available that tells the runners, based on which fight they get into, how many more fights they need to get to the D-Machine fight. So Antidale had that step chart up, and it told him how X many fights he needed to get to the D-Machine fight, and he took those fights on very, very easy fights against, we saw the imps and the float eyes, so that he could defeat them in one shot, instead of having to take them in the D-Machine, which he would be fighting things like centaurs and the beamers, which he would not at all have a fun time with.
Absolutely. And while you were going through the explanation, I was wondering if you may have noticed, Antidale actually has a bit of a problem going on. His Rydias have gained experience, and one of them is actually not going to be Slingshot here. The mean level of this party is actually 10. One Rydia is level 5, the other is level 8. So one of them is in Slingshot range, the other is not. I was catching up on that. You'll see that right here, 5 and 8, at the bottom, and Porum is 10. So we have, he's got a bit of a problem. I say problem, but it just means that one Rydia is going to get all this experience and the other one's not. I really hope he caught that, because that is a very big problem if he's counting on the Slingshot and the double life glitch in that regards for experience.
And that's something to definitely take into account when you're taking those fights outside Baron. Of course, those fights don't have a lot of XP, but when you're talking about a level 1 Rydia who has not gained any XP, and she's already getting slingshotted because the rest of your party is level, 15 to 20, like this party is, or 10 to 15, then she's getting slingshotted. So yeah, she's going to gain 5 to 8 levels or what have you, and put her out of slingshot range. So I've wondered, in other D-Machine setups, I've wondered if that's a thing that could happen. I don't think I've ever actually seen it happen, but now we're going to see how Antidale is going to deal with this.
Absolutely, and yeah, I think he's mostly going to be focusing on the Porum's levels, so one Rydia not being Slingshot is not a bad thing. There is going to be one Rydia that is going to be completely power overwhelming. Also, did you see what Sylverfyre just pulled out of that first chest in the Evelyn Castle?
I did not. What was it?
That is 100 MP on Artella right there.
Oh,
there's a Soma drop.
Oh, nice.
So Soma drop is one of the items that's not in the vanilla English game. It was a Japanese only item. It is plus 10 MP, which you think, oh, 10 MP, that's nothing. However, when Tala only has 90 MP and Weak is 25 MP, you're getting 3 casts of it per MP heal. But if you have that 100 MP, it gives you that little bit extra flexibility of healing, recovering it, plus you get that ability to cast it 4 times instead of 3 on your first try around. So that's a very big pickup that they're getting. Sylverfyre also taking this trap chest here. Very easy to find that Black Cat and Lamia chest. Does a lot of damage with the auto attacks, but between the jumps and the virus, going to be putting these fights down really quick. Whereas Antidale starting to get that swing of things with this D-Machine grind. As we see here, proper fight, Dancing Dagger, more than enough. Single-digit HP is all that's got left.
I think Sylverfyre is maybe taking this fight in order to get enough levels on the characters that they don't want to slingshot, in order to slingshot the characters that they do want to slingshot. slingshot. So I think that they're attempting to slingshot Corum and Rydia, because I think that they're the lowest levels, but I think that Sylverfyre needs a few more levels on the rest of their party in order for those two characters to be slingshotted during the actual grind of the D-Machine grind.
Absolutely, and we see that Palom and Kane getting some XP. Gonna give, oh my lord, that is an Excalibur right there, dude.
Oh,
wow.
But, of course, we talked about at the beginning of the seed with the permajoin flag on. We know that there is a Cecil available, but now that their party, both of our runners' parties, have been filled out, that Cecil is no longer available to them.
Indeed, and without edge to throw it, as said by LQ Flurry 14 in chat, that is Moneyblade. That is where you're going to be able to fund, that funds your D-Machine grind right there, 100%. The Excalibur, while it is a really strong holy sword, and it hurts to sell something like that, when you don't have a paladin on your side, that's a worthless hunk of metal right there. And by worthless, I mean very pricey to sell to shops. So it's a nice little thing to find.
Yeah, definitely going to help Sylverfyre fund their D-Machine grind if they still need those ethers or life potions or what have you, as we talked about earlier.
Yeah, but flying over the Baron with the big whale looks like they don't need it, so they're going to be taking their save, going to do the reset, and they're going to be matching Antidale really, really quickly with this grind. So as we've got this going on, I want to give big shout-outs to the people who are working behind the scenes so that Maggie and I can just sit here, gab at you guys all night. Zoe Vermilion rolling and with this vanilla with Mike Power combined, and keeping sure everything in the show is good and fantastic, and Scala Kitty doing the tracking and also setting out all the information for people to know what's going on. This is one heck of a team that I get to be part of tonight. And again, Maggie the Cat for joining me here as well in the commentary booth.
Absolutely a pleasure to be here with everyone. And of course, thank you to Randomania, one of our partner channels who has been hosting so many of our races during the Highway to the Threemus Zone tournament. Without them, we wouldn't have been able to bring so many. I think we have now reached or are very close to reaching 200 restreamed matches during this tournament. And without all of our volunteers and our partner channels, we would not be able to bring these races to you. So just thank you to everyone for making this possible.
I believe actually that, yeah, we had a race run earlier tonight. I believe this is race 201, as a matter of fact. So we're starting we're starting the next round of that 201 or 202. Scala and Zoe can kind of keep track of that. I'm really bad at counting. That's why I have a spin down die to keep track of my E-machines. But no, this is absolutely fantastic, a great undertaking. The last tournament we did, the Football Gauntlet, we had a whole heaping amount done, and it was incredible. And just seeing the way the Restream team has grown and expanded, and the point where Scala even joked around, we had enough people to do a gauntlet of a tournament for them to do races as well. It's just a great support that we have. And again, the partner channels between Randomania, RPG Limit Break, and again, our own channel, Free Enterprise, just to show all these different races off. It really is amazing, the amount of people who love showing us off, who love racing, and who just love helping out and bringing all these different speedruns to you guys.
And Sylverfyre now looks like they have gotten into the correct battle as well. It's this battle it starts with a Searcher and 2 Beamers. And once you defeat the 2 Beamers, you can hit the Searcher and it will either summon the D-Machine, which we see on Antidale's side, or it will summon a Centaur Horseman. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it looks kind of like a Centaur. And it's pretty unlikely that it's going to summon the Horseman at this point, since Sylverfyre did do the step manipulation outside Baron, just like Antidale did. And unlike Antidale, it looks like Sylverfyre did KO their 2 characters that they wanted to ensure to get the slingshot on. So we see Corum and Rydia are currently KO'd to make sure that they did not gain any XP during the manipulation fights.
Indeed. Wonder if they're going to pick them up off the ground, because having more than 3 people available for these fights is really big, because you're looking at having someone do damage. Tella's doing weak. You have like 3 characters is enough, but having somebody else up to heal or throw up additional life potions or something along the lines there, like it's just nice to have like that extra little buffer, throw out potions or whatever's necessary. But it looks like Silverfyre is just going with the 3 characters that they need. Kane's going to do more than enough. It's just a single swing. He's got the accuracy, and Palam's going to throw out that life potion and get 2 heals. But get 2 kills. But again, we're talking about like different glitches and everything. Why is it the life potions are being thrown? Like, what's the big point about those tossed out?
So we call this the life glitch. When enemies are defeated, as they're being defeated, you can throw a life potion on them, and enemies have 0 vitality. So when you use a life potion on them, it essentially brings them back with 0 hit points. You don't actually see them come back on screen, but it counts as a second kill. So every time you see our runners here throwing a life potion on one of these defeated D machines, it counts as another kill, another KO for that D machine, and it essentially gives them double XP for that D machine. So every time you see Antidale and Sylverfyre throwing that life potion out, they're getting double XP or triple XP if they manage to do 2 life potions. I don't know if they've managed to do that, but if they time it just right, they can get what we call a double life glitch if they can get 2 life potions queued up before the D machine is KO'd.
And if you have the timing very, very well, you can get the infamous triple life glitch. Very, very rarely we've seen that happen, and I don't believe we've seen an instance even the quad life glitch, where 4 people are getting life potions or cast the life spells off as soon as they get that going. But yeah, it is very hard to do a triple. Double is a very practiced skill. There are a lot of people who do it utilizing what's known as Ice 2, the Tier 2 Ice spell. Jump from Kane if they're really good with that, or even with aim from Rosa or power from Yang. There's a whole lot of ways to do it. It just takes a lot of practice. So
I
while
think you can do it with Chocobo, the Chocobo summon from Rydia as well.
I learned something new today. I didn't know that. But as we see, Silverfyre didn't actually grab those ethers, but is actually making use of the levels on their mages, which makes perfect sense why they grabbed the chests. So the extra MP on Porum, Rydia, and Palom is going to be stolen and used through the Lilith Rod, which is a succubus, an MP draining. You can use as an item. So taking the MP from her refills his mana, so he can be utilizing it to kill these D machines again and again. So nice heads up play and a good use of items. And speaking of heads up, Antidale is done with his grind. It looks like is getting all these levels, see all these spells going along. You're gonna see Nuke coming up on the kid real soon.
While we're getting all of these levels on Antidale and also wrapping up on Silverfire's grind here, quick couple of questions in chat. I see someone asked if Mac Giant was an option. If you were asking if Mac Giant is an option for the Searcher to summon, that would be on a different floor, not in this area. Mac Giants do not appear as a Searcher summon on this floor. Now, Mac Giants are an option as a grind. It's a different kind of grind. It's a slightly different setup. Usually if runners have Tella, they do prefer this D machine grind. It's a little bit more well known. It's a little bit, I think that they consider it a little bit more, it's a little bit faster. But if no Tella is available, but other characters and or items are available, that Mac Giant grind is an option. It does still involve a Searcher summoning a Mac Giant, but it's on a different floor of the Giant of Babel.
Indeed. It is better when used if you have a bruiser character who can cover, because you want to have the Zeus gauntlets doing that so that they can take the hit and take next to no damage. But yeah, the only way you're guaranteed, I say guaranteed, to have the Mac Giant fight is, again, as you said, on the other floor. And additionally, that Searcher actually comes on its own, so it doesn't have any additional things coming with it. But another spicy thing that you may have seen, Silverfire's gotten the spiciness of some items from Evelyn, Antidale got a very spicy find in an Hourglass 3 from his D Machine grind. Very rare drop to have happen. Cast Stop on all enemies. If there's a free fight anywhere in a hard spot, he's going to be absolutely laughing against it. But we are going to get ourselves finally underground. 40 minutes. Normally would be a long play, but with the grind going on, this is not going to be a quick way under. This is not going to be a long slog underground.
Yeah, we're gonna see what that there. We know that there's a lunar sparkle gating one of the spots here, and we know that it's not Pogo Pogo, and it's not Pale Dan because we've already fought those. So that leaves D-Lunars, Plague, or Wyvern. But as you talked about earlier, Dathis, if it's Wyvern, then we know that there is another way underground, a magma key floating around out here somewhere, because Wyvern cannot gate the only underground access. Now, we haven't really seen much of a D-Mist hunt. One of our runners did peek into the waterfall boss, but I don't think either of them have checked the vanilla D-Mist cave yet.
They have not, and we do love our vanilla here tonight. However, there's also one more. There are two more spicy spots that we can see. We could see D-Mist here in the King Queen Evelyn spot. That's no one wants to see that because that's on the way. We want to find this thing, or we could see it in a very spicy spot where Magma Key is up on the Tower of Zot in the Magister spot. Normally, you require the Earth Crystal to go there, but in this flag set, or sorry, in this randomizer, because we have it so you can have access to areas that you can't normally go to after they've been completed. Say if you have key items there, if you want to go loot somewhere, or if you want to check the spot again, you give free access to any zones like that. For example, the Tower of Zot, the Tower of Babel. Once the bridge goes out, you can actually go back in there, for example. So that gives you free access there. So that's also technically a location where D-Mist can be hiding. And hiding in plain sight is probably one of my favorites for a spot there. Just a water hag. Nice, easy way through. This is not the spicy blue robe we're hoping for.
Yeah, this is, especially with the levels that our runners have gained from doing the D-Machine grind ahead of time, this water hag is not going to be long for this world. Water hag's script, we consider this a free fight since Water Hag's script is such that you can hit it 3 times with any kind of attack that does damage. We see Rydia is just using the base rod that she comes equipped with, and it will go arg and then disappear.
All right, so we also see Sylverfyre, as Antidale's getting through this, is finishing up their grind, killing off their Tela to preserve the anchor situation, and looks like they're going to be going and knocking down this searcher really quickly. Oh no, wait, hold on, what's going on? They're just passing turns around. It's interesting. But we see Plague here. This is a free boss for this location, even if they didn't do this full grind. Plague has 2 things he really does in the script. It's if characters do not have count on it, cast count. If count is on all characters, cast fast. So Plague is very binary in what it does. However, there are ways to get through this and get around this fight. If you have something to Berserker caster your users, you can make it so they never hit that 0. So that's something that can be done as well. Or another way, what Antidale's probably going to be doing is kill off a character and cast a life potion on them and get them up so that they can reset the count. Sylverfyre, unfortunately, actually has to reset after finishing their grind. Looks like they didn't have enough life potions to get Tela back up to weak the Searcher.
I can only think that Tela's weak missed, but what I think happened, I didn't see the entire details, but I think what happened is they had weak queued up on Tela, then they had an attack queued up to KO Tela off. Tela cast weak, Tela missed with weak, the attack on Tela went off, and then they didn't have a way to raise Tela because Porum is base level and does not know the life spell, and it looks like they were out of life potions in their inventory. I think that's what happened. I did not see all of the details exactly, but I think that's what happened on Silverfire's screen.
Yeah, we'll see what's going on here. We have Antidale checking. I didn't see what that boss was at the top of the tower. Was going to do a little peek. But actually, oh no. So I went back through. Hold on, let me double check here. So by going through there, Golbez or Alt Gauntlet from our tracker here. So that is a bluish robe that we currently see on the side. That's pretty scary right there to be having to go through. Okay, so I went back and I rechecked the video. So what happened is Silverfyre ran out of life potions, was using Tele to raise their party, but they did not actually cast weak on the Searcher. So that Searcher was still at basically full health. So that's what the mistake was. They killed off Tele before casting the weak. It's having to keep track of so many things, and this is a really tense situation too. Like, these are great runners. These are some of the best runners we have in the community. They made top 32 for a reason. But even in high pressure situations, as we said, it's pressure. It gets to you, and you can mistake things like that. You can little small things. It is a very rough mistake that cost them, and is going to cost them a little bit. But we see Antidale actually finding the Legend Sword, though. So that is actually one objective that he has in his back pocket.
It looks like Antidale is going to be diving down here to the King Queen spot. Now this Queen spot is required, and it looks like it is a red robe. So this is just the Dark Imps. That hourglass that Antidale got from doing his D-Machine grind could potentially come in very useful here if he remembers he has it and wants to use it.
Okay, additionally that is you have multiple casters of stone here. One Ridia misses, the other one hits. The one that's much higher level is definitely going to get through that. But yeah, we have a quick little through, and yeah, it looks like Silverfyre going to go buy some extra life potions to be safe. Hey, look, another Hourglass 3. Wow. So not a key item, which we are only currently missing either the Luca key or the Rat Tail to do so. But as we see, that is the other blue robe down here. That means that we are getting the Alt Gauntlet down here, and it looks like Antidale is going to take that on. So the Alt Gauntlet is a series of 5 fights, normally 6 with the regular Gauntlet, but instead of the regular fights that were there, you are now fighting random encounters that you may not remember from the vanilla game if you are not like me and play it once a year, just to make sure that you enjoy the game. If you only ever play the randomizer or you haven't played through it in a while, you may not remember some of these fights, so it can be a little tricky remembering some of these things. But it's pulled from the random encounter table of the nearby area. As we can see, 5 random ones. This is also technically a really good grind option in this seed, because the conjurers that we see aiding a nuke to the face can summon one of 4 things. A flapper moth, which is not a great amount of experience, an imp, which we all know is fabulous experience. It can also summon a blue dragon, a thunder dragon, which is okay, and it can also, a naga, not the moth. And it can also summon what's called the Arachne. Now, what the Arachne does is it does basically nothing but Earthquake. It is also a lot of experience and ice, so you can utilize that to do a heaping amount of damage and get a lot of experience and life glitch if you have not a lot of grind options available to you. So it's a little bit of one of those like niche strategies, but in a tournament like this where you have no sirens and you're not guaranteed your Tela, and you might not even find your Luca key. It's an option to have like in your back pocket, because you could pull it out in something like this and it's very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do see Antidale has preemptively cast the float spell on his party going into this set of fights in case he does run into one of those Arachne mobs, since they do cast the quake spell. That's basically all they do if you fight one. They will cast Quake over and over, but the float spell will negate any damage that Quake does. So very heads up play for Antidale here. Meanwhile, it looks like Sylverfyre has gotten back into the grind fight. Actually, it looks like they did the manipulation and they just popped the searcher, but unfortunately pulled a horseman. So may have misstepped on the manipulation. It looks like they are going to go back and reset it again.
So, as someone who is still part of the top 32, reading the manipulation chart, especially when you think you don't think you've overstepped one, that's happened to me more times than I would like to talk about. But we're here now, so we're going to talk about it. That's the other fight that you were talking about. It's Centaurs. Sylverfyre is getting onto the next grind tile though, and is getting through that. Antidale, though, through both those fights, gets the only reward of the Magma Key. Not an item we really want to see, but it didn't save after doing that Dark Imp fight. Doesn't want to do that again, and is just going to come down here and wake Yang with probably the second most satisfying sound in Final Fantasy IV.
Final Fantasy IV has a lot of really good sound effects, to be honest. I particularly like the one when Vanilla Mylon Z falls into the deep ravine at the top of Mount Ordeals.
Yes, when he goes back to the pit. It is one of my favorite ones too. I almost feel like I hear him screaming. You actually hear, if you pay attention to the very bottom, you can hear him like landing either in water or on the ground, and just landing fairly firmly. It is very satisfying. I will agree with you there. The little bloop at the end, yes, is Scarlet Kitty, our tracker, is mentioning.
Antidale going to check this shop. Oh, and finds, in case we didn't already have a grind option in the Darkness Crystal, does find Sirens. Now, in this particular flag set, this shop, this Kokol shop, is the gated shop, and this is the only shop where Sirens are potentially available. So if Antidale had not already done a grind, or if he needed any more levels on any of his characters, those Sirens would be a very welcome find.
Indeed, and additionally finds the Sorcerer Robe, one of the better mage robes out there, as well as we have ourselves the best weapon for Kain, arguably, in the Defense Sword. So that shop is basically geared for everything that you're looking for in the sea. It's like, oh, if you didn't get the Darkness Crystal, or you went underground because you skipped that Baigen, which I don't blame you, and you still have an option in that case. So there's a whole bunch of just like things everywhere going on. So the big thing we're still looking for is we're still looking to find where this rat tail is, or where this Luca key is. So it's like, even if Sylverfyre was set back with the grinds, they're not completely out of this. If they go to, say, to the moon and do some cheeky checks up there, maybe they find both of them up there while Antidale is clearing out the main overworld, and they come back down, take care of the other checks, and get that done. Where Sheila currently not holding the goods in the package and the Earth Crystal. So we have one key item that can possibly gate Threemus, and we have one key item that can lead us to yet another rabbit hole, as well as two other characters that we kind of just don't care about. And additionally, my favorite part to find out of a item chest in the treasury, which with this team you don't really need to go looking at, but always nice to see what's in there.
Yeah, we'll see. It looks like Antidale is not going to be following up on that Earth Crystal immediately. Instead, heading over to Tower of Babel. Does not have the tower key, so it looks like Antidale is going to be doing keyless tower.
Indeed. So normally it's the tower key would come from the top of this tower, and you can still fight it and go and fight the Golbez, we believe that is up here. So it's not going to be a fun fight, because even with power overwhelming, Golbez is still going to be like, we're going to take 3 of your party members. So it's a little bit annoying in that aspect. It's going to be easy once that's done, even though there's 18,000 HP here. So it's a bit to chew through. The magic stat is laughably low. His spells, tier 2 and tier 3, will do damage, but they're nothing really to talk about in that aspect. So yeah, Antidale gonna have 2 characters. Oh, it was the other blue robe. It was the King Queen Evelyn, actually. This is a very free fight, the exact opposite of what I was just trying to hype up. The last blue robe that we did not see. So Golbez is currently not appearing in this seed. Could still be around though. Look, Scarlet, you got better eyes than what I did. I didn't even see the blue robe, so don't dissuade yourself. You saw me did.
Robe. I didn't see blue or robe or otherwise. So and there's lots of blue. Scarlet Kitty pointing out there's lots of blue robes in this game, so it's perfectly fine. This makes a lot of sense why Antidale came up here. I was like, if this is Golbez, why would Antidale come up here? Because this is a long check to begin with, and Golbez is a really long fight. But this makes a lot more sense because this is free and very quick.
Yeah, and the thing is you don't even have to do anything. I wonder if Antidale's still gonna. Yeah, it looks like he's just gonna cast Nuke White and just get through this fight faster. It will definitely be faster to cast spells. Yeah, we can see a whole bunch right here. Like, just not put them down. They're gonna take the damage. Queen Evelyn's turn, she's just gonna fade away, or just fade away to the nuke too. I mean, microwave them away. Just a protect ring for his troubles, unfortunately. He looks like even those glittering gold and trinkets and baubles are not something he wants to keep an eye on.
Yeah, resetting out did save at the base of the tower, so Justice is coming back. Coming back up to the overworld now, let's see what he decides to do next. Parking outside the lunar whale, so it looks like he's maybe going to dive moon next.
Yeah, the only check he has left on Earth right now, well, he has 2 checks left. He's got literally the Earth Crystal, and additionally, he's got Dwarf Castle. Now, both of those are very long checks. Earth Crystal rewards you with 2 bosses, 2 characters, and 1 key item. He doesn't care about characters. Bosses may be relevant because D-Mist could be hiding either the Rat Tail or the Luca Key, or it could be, in theory, it could be hiding a way to those as well. Or you could just come up to the moon, which has the more density of checks, starting with Cave Value or Bahamut's Cave, which I really like this play. A lot of people enjoy going down and they do checks of the D-Lunar Room, which has 2 key items right there for 1 boss. But as pure numbers, CPU, this is a fight you're going to really enjoy seeing here. This is a spot that has a lot of physical damage, and CPU does percentage HP. Not exactly something you're going to be scared about in something like this.
Is raising Tela for this fight. That's interesting. I wonder what Antidale is planning on using Tela for in this battle. Did not find the Soma drop that Sylverfyre did, so does not have access to Tela's Meteor. That would be something that I would maybe think Tela could participate in this fight for, but otherwise I'm not quite sure, unless he's maybe just planning on using Tela to help set up like the float strategy for this fight.
Indeed, as we mentioned, they said this is the one boss where it's like, this is the only boss really left that is super scary because of the wall that it can put up. But as we say, if we get with the 50-50 of the float, that's one that I'll take a couple of times. It is a long walk, but it's still going to get you to this fight is a little bit faster, just to get those quakes off and make sure you take care of it. Rydia can technically get through it, or we can just see some rocks fall, and CPU will not die, but the defender will, so we're going to see some globes come out. The benefit of casting that Meteor, quad 9 damage, also gets out the attacker node and lets you get these reflected nukes out. This Globe 199 is actually targeting really good characters. If it had hit the Rydia in the top row at all, these reflected nukes would not be getting off, and that's, again, the damage that CPU be taking that just would not be there right now. Looks like that's a direct nuke, or is we getting another reflect? Hold on, let's see what's going on. Oh yeah, another reflect one. Unfortunately, hits the attacker node. Not who you want to have be hit, but, I mean, one of the two down is better than nothing. Even though that does heal up 3,000 of the 14,000, I believe that was done.
Ooh, but it looks like his Iridias are starting to run out of MP. Oh, but now that Quake does enough damage to take the CPU and the last node out, and rewarded with
free
a
defense sword.
I mean, that is arguably Kane's best weapon. I think Kane is still rocking that Gungnir spear that Antidale pulled at the very beginning out of the waterway. So it looks like Antidale is just going to reset straight out of that, not even bothering to keep that defense sword.
Indeed, I don't blame him whatsoever. It's the time out there. It's like, just don't even bother walking or exiting or something like that. And as you see, it just goes and hits the MP tile. Really lesser known things that people still use is coming to these MP tiles and not having to rest, especially if you don't want to get somebody back up like this Tella. It's the same thing as talking to the white chocobo in the chocobo forest. Recovers all MP, lets you heal up or do whatever you want. We're also going to get another look at this Porum that's up here. So Porum gets to see one of her sisters go back there. Whereas Sylverfyre unfortunately takes another wipe, very bad fires on the side. And yeah, I honestly, like, big props to Sylverfyre for what happened on their side. They are FFing, as we can see here, but they did they put up a heck of a fight. So, like, props to them for, honestly, if you get too tilted into a seed, knowing when to stop is not a bad thing. We all get to our walls.
And these, just to emphasize again, that these flags are very difficult, and all of these runners are really amazing to have made it this far, and just the caliber of play that we see every day in the races that we have been restreaming shows the strength of the community. So yeah, absolutely. GG to Sylverfyre for sticking it out as long as they did. Just sometimes it's just not not in the stars, I guess. But these seeds are very, very difficult. So for sticking it out as long as they did.
Absolutely. And again, it's the same thing as if you slam your head against the wall of a boss for so many times. You can only do that so many times before it takes a toll on your mental. And at that point, you have to understand, it's like, you know what, if this is just not doing it for me, if I get too salty or if I get too annoyed, we just need to take a step back and take your breather, because that's a really big part of this tournament. That will, unfortunately, as long as Antidale finishes the seed, which he's going to be looking like he is in a decent spot for doing still, that's going to move Sylverfyre to 3-3. Does not knock them out of the tournament, though, so it does put them in the scarier position of the two. But Sylverfyre having a fairly great record in their group stages and then coming through here means that they are fairly well seeded to continue on to the top 16. It is going to be very random whether they do or not, based upon how the strength, it's not random, but calculated how it's going to happen. But it is still very much a possibility. And yes, Sylverfyre, as mentioned by Zoe in chat, they are absolutely great runner. They've done a lot of good runs, and they've put on fantastic shows. And again, to even go 3-0 in a group stage beforehand, that's saying a whole lot to the caliber of them as a runner in the first place.
Well, I saw the Luca key. I didn't see what the first item that Antidale pulled was, but
it's the spoon.
Oh, the spoon. So, I mean, that's one more key item toward Ken. Not that Antidale really needs the extra XP at this point. But that Luca key is going to send Antidale right back down to not just Loop 9, but the underground to unlock that sealed cave, and that is going to get him his crystal.
Absolutely. And the nice thing is this is one of two things. You don't even need to finish the sealed cave. Walk up, throw the key item at it, get your crystal, and then run back up. So that is very good. He is going to be 100% Z ready. Going to be knocking that out in very short order because it's going to be down, back up, and good to go. Kind of would have been funny if he had done the 2-for-1, the Forge and the Sealed Cave in the same run, but it still gets done one way or the other. So the funny thing about him finding that spoon there, it was a flag that was actually enabled on the previous table sets. The spoon flag being that Edward, as our lovely spoony bard, was able to utilize the spoon as a weapon. It is literally the best weapon in the game because it has more damage multipliers than I believe even the Crystal Sword. It makes Edward go from a very niche character to a crazy powerhouse. Unfortunately for these table flags, we have decided to disable that, so he goes from a possible powerhouse attacker plus niche character to just a very niche character. Not saying that those niches are bad. Eddie strats are a big thing for a reason. I'm mad at them, but they're there. But he does have uses outside of just like Zeromus ready strategies.
Yeah, he definitely has some uses against certain bosses too. Evil Wall in certain locations can be very difficult, but Eddie can be very useful against him. Odin as well, you can use Edward's Hide to prevent the Zen Setsuku from doing any damage. So, like you said, very niche, but in the right circumstances, Edward can definitely save your bacon.
Absolutely, and we have Antidale, has his crystal, takes that. This is going to be a long, long walk. It is a little unfortunate that we never found the pass because the walk through the lunar subterrane is a lovely, lovely 2-3 minute trek. But again, we're just going to go back and just talk about the seed. This was a seed that is the other half of what I'm kind of known for, because I kind of infected the seed a little bit more than the vanilla. This is very, very jetty. This was a very quick seed. We're an hour and 7 minutes in. We're on our way to Zeromus with Atella sitting in Baron with a darkness crystal. So we're grinding 20 minutes in. This was a seed that was just like everything being thrown at you and being basically given to you through a little bit of a fight. It was the false troll. We saw the Lunar Sparkle, nothing really scary. It was in the Plague. We had the Water Hag as the King Evelyn spot. This is probably, yeah, as Zoe's saying, we have the vanilla and we have the jet. It's everything that I'm here for. Vanilla from the seed, jet from just being around. It's still been a great seed overall, though. It's very trolly, though, is what this was.
Yeah, and like Zoe is saying, when you put her and Daphis together, you get a kind of half of vanilla, half jet seed here, and that's pretty basically what we saw. But I see some flags already coming out in chat with a looks like a Z on them, Daphis. Do you know what chat is asking for here?
I don't understand the Z flag. I do understand the Z flag, though, being Canadian. So what this actually is as a lot of people say about this, Zeromus is the final boss in Final Fantasy IV. He is a boss that has a very particular script. Words are very hard. Not as hard as Zeromus is, though. He has a powerful attack called Big Bang, which, no matter where you put him, will just face roll your team. So his script being as complicated as it is, and him just being really annoying to throw around, and you want to end the seed with a very good fight, you want to have something like that. So we do not move his position for all the bosses being randomized. However, through our lovely tracker and art wizard, as I love to call her, Scala Kitty, she has over 450 sprites in what we have the Pool of Zeromus. He can be anything from pop culture, memes, other Final Fantasies, other video games, and they are all masterfully done with the way that she puts them into the loveliness of this sprite. So what that flag is asking is the most very, very important question, and that is, whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?
And chat is getting ready. They want to see this is Zeromus's true colors. and Antidale is going into this fight. We see the shake. Very shortly, we're going to see the crystal being thrown by Tela here, and then we are going to see Zeromus' true colors emerging to see which button we're going to be kicking tonight.
Indeed. So the nice thing is we're probably going to go just pure reflex strats, throw that Star Veil on Kane. 1 hour, 10 minutes, 46 seconds from when the crystal is thrown. Reflex strats cut halfway through the HP because Zeromus can't have all the HP. Well, I am here for Vegeta. Vegeta, we're fighting
blue.
you.
It's blue. it's going with the blue theme that we've had going on all night.
Absolutely, I'm here for Vegeta. I love him. He's probably one of my favorite characters in Dragon Ball Z. Love it as it is. So, as we were mentioning, so Zeromus only has a lot of HP. It's 64,000, but technically it's, I believe, 32,000 double over. So what happens is he triggers an HP refill as a counterattack. Now, counterattacks only affect from direct damage. If you do reflected spells, as we see the reflected newts and reflected whites, it is not going to trigger any one of his counterattacks, and he has several in the script. One being that first one that we saw with the counter nuke. It does two things for him there. Casting a direct spell on Zeromus resets his magic stat, which means that his Big Bang is going to do very, very little damage. Additionally, what it's going to do is that, again, if you have the counter nuke trigger on the right person, it can bounce off and do even more damage. But also, I can't believe I didn't even notice that. We're going to see Vegeta's special attack, his Big Bang attack. I can't believe I didn't go for that. I'm kind of sad at myself.
I think this whole fight is just thematically appropriate.
Absolutely. And here comes the Big Bang. Unfortunately, just like Cell, the team is going to be able to survive 100% no problem, take next to no damage. Normally, the damage that comes out from those Big Bangs is something in the neighborhood of like a 2,000 damage round, but through nerfing the damage, you see taking 1,000 or even less. Also, questions from Skulla Kitty in chat. Is our nukes the Kamehameha? No, I'd say it'd be more like Krillin's Scatter Bullet because you see the multiple impacts going on. Or Hellzone Grenade, I guess, from Piccolo.
I'm glad you know enough about DBZ to be talking about this, Atlas, because I don't know. I don't know anything about DBZ. So
Look, I'm here for two
I'm glad
things.
that you do.
I'm here for two things. I'm here for vanilla. Sorry, three things. I'm here for vanilla, I'm here for Jet, and I'm here for nerdy anime things. And this is everything. And as we see, these foul creatures can be felled. They can be beaten. Vegeta goes down. Antidale is our first place finisher. 1 hour, 13 minutes, 28 seconds, putting him officially at the 4-2 mark. Get your GGs in chat, as we are in fact joined by him right now. GG's Antidale on that very clinically run seed, as a matter of fact.
Thank you.
GG, Antidale, going 4-2 in your table round. How are you feeling now that you are all wrapped up with all of your table races?
I mean, overall, pretty good. You never, Syl and I talked a bit after the race, and you really have to feel for them for kind of having the rough go of that D machine grind that they had.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. So I take it Syl kind of filled you in on what happened there?
Miscounting life potions are not quite buying enough, and then not having the life staff to get Tela back up and whatnot, and then you just you're in a horrible mental state after you kind of do that whenever you make a mistake like that, and that really your heart goes out so much. Like, Syl is a great runner and I respect them very much, and I hope that they're able to get through on strength of schedule to the next round, because I'd love to have a chance to play them again.
Absolutely. So what did you think of this seed? 20 minutes or 25 minutes in, you had that darkness crystal, you had your party of mages all set up, and you were going into your D machine fight.
Yeah, I was definitely a little worried that I had lost some time by pretty much just jumping around. I don't get to press push B to jump or play push B to jump too much right now because we're still heavy into this. But Kane did pretty much all of the jumping that he possibly could throughout the overworld, and I wondered if like taking the twins earlier and doing some twin magic in a couple spots might have sped some stuff up. So I was definitely a little worried, but happy that I could just go straight into the D machine and not open any more boxes except the ones that could contain key items. I didn't really have to go to any other shops. Like it was just a straight line path of throwing the entire seed in the microwave after that.
Speaking of opening up shops, seeing that Kakol shop, Sirens, the things that are very rarely available after that really early Darkness Crystal, was that, what did you kind of think when you saw those kind of pop up real quick?
I was more focused on the Sorcerer robes because it was really nice to make sure that I had some magic defense on the kids because I didn't really have good gear for them. So like I was like, yes, Sorcerer robes, and like, oh, they're cool. There are Sirens I don't have to buy or think about.
Yeah, we were talking about how, if you needed to get anybody up a few more levels, but at that point you basically had everything in the bag. Just for kind of wrapping up at that point, I think you just needed one more key item, which you found at I think the first spot that you went to on the moon. I think you did, what did you do? Bahamut Cave first, and that was a bust, but then you went straight down to that Ribbons Room spot and pulled out that Luca key.
Yeah, definitely felt wanted kind of. I don't like doing the Murasame altar if I don't have to because it's just so awkward if it's not the right call sometimes. So I felt like doing King Bahamut since there was just one of two. CPU worked out pretty fast overall, and then just dove for density, got the right thing. And as I saw the spoiler scroll on as my was feeding up to Twitch, the rat tail is at the Murasame altar, so Moon was required the seed. I was really happy to duck to the possible chains that were there.
we're just seeing it on stream now. Yeah,
Yep.
That's insane. So the real question is, when you were starting your grind, your Rydia's got some extra levels. Did you notice that only one of them was being slingshot because of one being 2 levels out instead of 5?
That is 100% why I grabbed a Rydia and not a Palom for the second Black Mage. I wanted to at least slingshot somebody, so since I was going to have to do 12 by 12, because Baigan kind of spooked me into throwing the big bomb before I could make Rydia take one more nap. Otherwise, it would have been Rydia, Palom, Forum for the team instead of Rydia, Forum.
Gotcha. Okay, so you kind of had that planned out at that point then.
Yeah, it was a definite. Oh, she got too many levels. There's no way I get anyone else to enough levels to where she's not going to be 5 behind, and I don't want to take the time for a box because with only Kane as my damage dealer at that point, it did not feel like a good idea to do any of that. So
yeah,
I'm just gonna take the 12 by 12 and just go straight forward.
Got it. Okay. Well, I mean, it worked out real well for you. Obviously, you got through the seed very quickly after you did your grinding. So yeah, very nicely played.
Thank you.
How did you like all the lovely tastes of vanilla that you had to go through to the seed as well?
I actually didn't register any of them at all, so
I'm super disappointed in you, sir. No, so we had Vanilla Antlion and Antlion Cave. We had Vanilla Cane actually off the start, and French Vanilla Palom at Mysidia. So those were the big heaping helpings of vanilla there. Plus you had the Jetness. So again, you were on the outside looking in for example, the Magma Hook route. That I did the plan where it was a very jetty seed. Having to be in a seed that's like that, what was your thought process as you're just going through, and just like the mental that you're having as you're seeing, like you have this grind going on very quickly? So what were you kind of thinking as you're doing that?
I mean, there were so many of practice seeds, especially early on when doing table, where it was like, here's your starting Tela, here's a starting Darkness Crystal, what are you going to do? So there was a lot of practice in those, just in kind of being a little bit aware of where agility was, what levels you wanted people. So it's part of why like Rydias were alive during the fights to set up the correct encounter, just so they could get a couple of agility points, and so they wouldn't be so far behind. So you could just have a nice smooth rotation through everything. And doing it at super low levels is actually really, really nice, because then you don't have to worry about healing as much. Cure 1 even kind of keeps you going if you can get 1 or 2 of them off. I did make like 1 or 2 small little mistakes of not remembering that when the Demon Machine have been summoned but Kane gets next turn, you should jump rather than pass turn, because if you jump, you'll almost certainly have enough time for the weak to come off, especially at those levels. And then you can maybe get a double. And then Kane will also slot himself back in behind Tella at that point, so you kind of reset a bit, and it's really nice.
More grind tech that we don't really hear about. But speaking of, and also additionally talking about that, are we going to, for Tella in there specifically, because he's a bit of a slower character, do you find there's any benefit to throwing a fast on him to enhance his agility? I've been doing that in some of my grinds just to speed up the weak cast itself.
I'll throw a Hermes if I have one, if I've seen one in a shop and had the money. But a fast cast itself is just kind of expensive turn and mana-wise, and it doesn't always get you everything you want. And with everyone else also being really slow, the only person who's going to jump turn is Kane, so I wasn't too worried about it. And, you know, you can manage him a couple of different ways.
So again, this puts you at 4 and 2. I believe you may still have a chance to draw who you would like to for your first match in the top 16, since that puts you there 100%. If you were to choose somebody and call them out, who would you be picking? Knowing of the top 32, a blind pick, who would you be taking as a match, first of all?
I have no idea. We'll have to wait until we get to the top 16, and then we'll see if I even win a place for that. Right now I'm going to take a couple days off and not think about anything for a little bit. Maybe I think I have commentary tomorrow, and that'll be fun, but I probably won't play a seed for a couple days because I have about a week off, and then I'll start thinking about stuff again.
I was just about to ask if you're going to, just, keep your nose to the grindstone, keep practicing, or if you're going to take some time off now that you've got a few days before you have to worry about it. So yeah, it sounds like taking some time off is probably good, and then maybe hop back in as the week progresses.
Oh yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'll probably be playing a seed a day, if not maybe 2 on the weekends or something, just to make sure that inputs are crisp and kind of there are a couple places where I'm not as fast as I should be in menus or as fast as I want to be. So, but just want to take a little bit of time off and not burn out too much.
Yeah, exactly. Mentals, we were talking about that with the sylverfyre FF. Mental is a huge thing. If you push yourself too hard, it's the same thing as an athlete overtraining. You can kind of do more harm than good. But the question is, so having come through again the 3 and 0, and now the 4 and 2, how much practice have you put into these table flags specifically? Like, how many, just like the seed a day kind of thing? Was there a day where you just like round out an entire day, or like how much practice have you been throwing in?
It probably averages to a little bit less than a seed a day. I ran 2 today. I ran 2 yesterday. I think I did 1 Friday, but I hadn't run one for a couple days before that, except the tournament match I had on Tuesday, whatever that one was. And I hit it kind of hard at the very beginning after knowing I was into table, and then kind of in the middle, I played some Among Us and some other stuff to kind of like mentally distance again and not get to the point where I wasn't paying attention when I was practicing, because I could definitely feel that I would get to a certain part in the seed and then just stop. And that's definitely going to be harmful overall when you don't actually finish a seed, because there's still a lot of little tech things to do at the end. Think about your routing and stuff, and I could tell I wasn't paying attention in practice. I stopped practicing for minutes so that I could make sure that I went to pay attention again.
That's fantastic. Also, so we're seeing you go and give us music. We see you forgot to turn encounters.
I totally forgot to turn encounters, so we'll see a couple enemies that we don't see very often. This fight's longer than it should be because I have very small children.
They are in fact the little babby children, and you've got the Thor rages going. This is entertainment right here. This is what I'm honestly here for. I'm here for this.
Yeah, I mean, we don't see trans very often.
This is a good way to wrap this seed. I appreciate this. So
instead of oops all porums or oops all one character, now it's oops all random encounters. But yeah, so the alt gauntlet. Speaking of random encounters, how happy were you to have seen that in the Fey March?
It was nice. That's one that's pretty easy. I bumped it down to battle speed 2 and did some run buffering to. I think I only messed up once where I didn't get off the spell before like the summon or their first turn. So that went smoothly for all the fact that it was a total dud.
Neat. Oh, so we see you got through the hardest fight in the game so far, almost losing your characters. And so we are going to get the DJ Spoonie Bee's rockin' tunes and see what our harp music was that we missed out on.
Yep, I've been having it on for the last 15 minutes now.
Great work from Calm Lemony, the harp magician, bringing in Eternal Wind from Final Fantasy III. A very beautiful sounding rendition here, done in MIDI format. But again, yeah, Antidale, thank you very much for being restreamed and for putting on a fantastic clinic of a seed, pretty much. And again, congratulations on going forward too. I'm excited to see how far you progress in the top 16.
Yeah, I am too. This is farther than I got in the gauntlet when Rivers knocked me out in the first round of that stage. So definitely excited to get a little bit farther this time around. And thank you so much, Dathis and Maggie for comms, Scala for doing the tracking, and Zoe for rolling us the seed and doing the restream. Y'all are wonderful. And of course, GG again to Sil. I hope to see you again racing soon and just coming back stronger.
Thank you so much, Antidale, and thank you for joining us tonight and being restreamed. All right, Daphis. I think our chat has maybe had enough of vanilla for one night, enough shenanigans for one night. I think that we're going to be sending them off to watch somebody else. Where are we going tonight, Daphis?
Let's see what's going on here. We are actually going to be doing a raid onto Plumera Night. This is a big warning for everybody. They are doing table salt, so if you are part of that, there are going to be spoilers. It's a little bit of the people who got knocked out in the groups. This is kind of like the revenge, so that they can see what's going on. This is, again, big spoilers. Don't spoil, as we all say, don't spoil anything that happened in this race. Don't spoil anything from this race if you're going to be in Table Salt, but instead, show Plumera Knight some fabulous love from here. But yeah, if you haven't done this week's Table Salt race, we suggest not tagging along. If you have, go on with them, and it'll be a fantastic seed. But again, thanks to Maggie the Cat for joining me here. Commentary, Scala Kitty and Zoe Vermillion doing the hard behind-the-work scenes of being restream and tracking, respectively. 100% respect everyone that's been here. And again, throws a lot of love to sylverfyre and Antidale for the show that they were putting on for us tonight.
Good night, everybody.